Hey, so are we about to see a real estate reset? Is it possible that there is a recession coming on the horizon? My name is Nancy from Nancy Chu Homes, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the red flags that we see in real estate. Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about what's been going on, especially we're going to break it down today between residential and commercial, because those are the two places that we can see some of this behavior starting to happen. Okay, so we are ending Q2 of 2024, and we are definitely seeing some mild increase in mortgage delinquencies on the residential side, okay? So by the end of Q2, we've been looking at about a nearly 4% seasonally adjusted increase in mortgage delinquencies, okay? So just so you know, a mortgage delinquency, that's really just anybody who has missed one payment. That's all it is. It's just someone who's missed one payment. They're delayed in that one payment, their first payment, okay? Now, I will tell you that you have to miss a lot more payments before it moves over into what we would call a foreclosure action. But honestly, for foreclosure actions in residential right now, we're seeing maybe like 0.14%. So it's not even close to 1% of all mortgages so far. Okay, but we are seeing some signs. We are seeing a slight uptick in unemployment, less new jobs being created. There's definitely a drop in personal savings. Now, don't forget, during COVID, personal savings skyrocketed because people didn't have that much people didn't have that much to do with their money. So we did see personal savings skyrocket. So a drop in personal savings now that people can actually do things again, that's not too alarming. But we are seeing a lot of things like property taxes are increasing and insurance has gone through the roof. You know, especially in like particular states, coastal areas, you're seeing significant increases. Also on the condo side, you're seeing significant increases in the insurance prices. So that's definitely affecting people. And you are seeing a slight uptick in credit card debt. All right, so I'm gonna break this down to the three primary types of residential loans. So in conventional, we're seeing about a 2.6% increase in mortgage delinquencies. FHA is actually down. FHA is actually doing really well, but we're also seeing a slight uptick in the VA ones. Now, these are folks who are just one payment behind, all right? May was interesting. So I know we're in June now, but the real estate market in May didn't really have the sort of crazy push that we normally see. Here in the United States, we have this thing called seasonality. And of course, the spring market is usually very robust. That's probably my nice way of saying nice and juicy. You see a lot of action, people moving. So you'll see a lot of purchase and sale transactions. And May this year was not quite as poof as we had thought. Now, at this point, we're kind of expecting a potential 6% increase in overall prices from 2023 to 2024. So that could be part of it, right? You have some affordability issues. I will tell you that while this isn't extraordinary, it is definitely still something to notice, okay? Now, my bigger concern is going to be in the commercial world. We are definitely seeing commercial being affected. Now, commercial has a very different behavior pattern. So residential real estate, you can get yourself a 30-year mortgage and lock in that cost of living for 30 years. Residential is a little bit different from commercial in that way, right? Residential is designed to protect your average middle-class family that wants to lock in their cost of living for 30 years, right? It's a great, the 30-year mortgage is it's a middle-class hedge, and it's a wonderful thing. Commercial is a very different situation. And as we know, a lot of commercial buildings, you're seeing a lot of high interest rates, but also a lot of office vacancies. And of course, office vacancies are a problem. Once again, post-COVID, you don't have 100% return to the office space for work, which is why you're seeing more office vacancies, right? So I have to tell you, commercial real estate probably comprises of about $37 billion in loans right now. And we are looking at a delinquency rate overall of about 1.2%. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, okay? But I do think that this can pose a challenge because don't forget, in the Great Recession, which started in 2008 and then hit its low point in 2010, in 2010, we were looking at like a 10% delinquency rate for commercial, that's pretty, that is like bad. So at 1.2%, we're kind of not there yet, but it's definitely starting to raise the red flags. Like we're kind of like raising the red flag a little bit. So I think a lot of the banks that hold these, large mortgages are starting to quietly look for investors and trying to figure out what kind of discount that they have to offer to get what they are thinking are these bad commercial loans off of their books. So you can see the bank starting to behave in a way that signals what could be coming. Now, my biggest concern, and I know I've talked about this before, but it's been a little bit, so I'll mention it again. Most commercial loans are really held significantly by community and regional banks in this country. Smaller banks, right? Smaller banks that are similar to the size of like SVB, which is the one that went under last year. And, they carry, because these smaller regional community banks carry a significant portion of the commercial loans, and if we start to see the defaults, a lot of these banks are not that big. They're not the biggest depository banks. They're smaller. So they have less leeway to handle, these types of delinquencies, and they have less leeway to handle it if these loans go belly up. Now, why does that affect residential? Why is that? Well, some people say it's because these particular banks, these regional and community banks, they're also the ones that handle the warehouse lending for residential banking. Now, I don't know if warehouse lending is basically something that happens when a mortgage company, so let's pretend there is a mortgage bank, right? Any mortgage bank. When they need more money to loan out to human beings, right? When they want to consumers, sometimes they go to regional banks, community banks, and get what they call warehouse funding for it. So, if we see these regional and community banks start to feel distress, then at some point they're not going to be able to handle the warehouse lending either, which is going to reduce the amount of money that mortgage lenders are able to loan out to consumers. So that's why, while I say this is not at crisis point, it is definitely something that I'm starting to, look for in the news. I'm starting to look for this, to put my finger on it, because this does have longer term residential repercussions. All right, listen, you guys, if we are useful information to you, then please like, subscribe, and comment. And, I appreciate any feedback you guys have. But it is definitely something that we are starting to look for. We are starting to look at the red flags. And I tell you that I think that the commercial world is going to have repercussions on the residential world. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys next week.